Does your child need a tutor or a therapist? It's a question that a lot of families struggle with, and the answer isn't always clear. And choosing the right type of support can be the difference between progress and frustration. So today, I'm going to break it all down for you so you know how to make the best choice for your child. But first, hi, I'm Dr. Keena, and I'm the founder of Thrive Parent Collective, and I work with parents to help them feel confident in supporting their children's learning development. Whether they send their children to public school, private school, or homeschool, my goal is to make you confident in how to best support them. And on my channel, I talk about child development, parenting and educational tips, and my homeschooling journey. So if that seems interesting to you, please subscribe. So in this video, I'm going to walk through the differences between a tutor and a therapist, how to identify the kind of support your child needs, and some tips to make this decision easier for your family. So if you've been wondering what step to take next, you are in the right place. So let's start with tutors. Tutors are educational professionals who focus on improving your child's academic skills. And they might help your child catch up on some subjects in school like math, science, reading, writing. And typically they're going to try to strengthen skills that they're already learning in school. And they also might do things like help them prepare for tests or develop better study habits. Tutors are great for children who are generally on track developmentally, but they need a little bit of extra help to meet the academic goals or boost their confidence in a certain subject area. So you can think of a tutor as like a coach for school-related skills. So on the other hand, a therapist, and I want to clarify, when we're talking about therapists, there are different types. So there are mental health therapists, there are speech language pathologists or speech therapists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, and we can talk about whether your child would benefit from working with one of them. So a therapist typically addresses underlying challenges that might be affecting your child's your child's ability to learn. So, for example, a speech and language therapist may help your child if your child struggles globally with understanding or expressing themselves. If your child is having difficulty with sensory processing or fine motor skills, then you may find that working with an occupational therapist may be helpful. If your child is struggling with gross motor skills, then working with a physical therapist may be helpful. If your child is having emotional or behavioral challenges like anxiety, significant frustration, attention difficulties, and those things are getting in the way of their ability to learn and thrive on a day-to-day basis, then you may end up wanting to work with a mental health therapist like a psychologist or a social worker. And so now you might be wondering, how do you decide if your child needs a tutor or a therapist? So here are some things to consider. Is the challenge academic or is it developmental? So is your child maybe having a hard time understanding the concepts in this module that's being presented at school, or do they generally have difficulty with learning? So, for example, does your child avoid writing because it's challenging for them, like physically hard to form the letters and hold the pencil? In that case, you may want to work with an occupational therapist. Or is it hard for them to formulate appropriate sentences? Do they have difficulty expressing themselves in general or summarizing stories? Do they have difficulty answering questions? In that case, you may want to work with a speech and language therapist. If your child is regularly getting upset and avoiding tasks or seems overwhelmed, then a therapist that addresses mental health concerns, that may be a good first step. And another thing is, have you noticed these patterns over time? So are there consistent and persistent struggles that you notice that are interfering with their day-to-day life or their ability to achieve academically? In that case, it's probably a good idea to seek an evaluation with a therapist. And so an easy way is to say, when in doubt, I'm going to recommend an evaluation. And I actually did another video on how to determine if your child is struggling with a learning difference or disability. And a professional can help you understand what's really going on and guide you towards the next best steps. And if your child is struggling in development and you still want them to catch up academically, then it may be helpful for them to have both a tutor and a therapist, because the tutor is going to work on things that help them maybe understand what is being presented in class at that moment. The tutor may be able to help them pass the test at the end of the week, but the therapist is going to work on skills that will certainly help them in the classroom and will certainly benefit them, but they may be working on something that is more foundational that doesn't necessarily translate directly to what they're working on in school. And so that's the reason it can be beneficial for you to consider having both. So remember, every child is different and there really is no one size fits all answer. But again, when in doubt, it can't hurt to have an evaluation, or even the step before an evaluation. There is something called a screening where the professional will determine if a full evaluation seems warranted. And different professionals use different types of screenings, but if you just reach out and express your concerns, then they should be able to give you some guidance on what some appropriate next steps would be. So I hope you found this video helpful. And don't forget to subscribe for more tips on helping your child thrive, and comment with any questions or experiences that you'd like to share. And I'd love to hear from you all. Thank you so much. Bye.